The fourth plenary session of the Central Committee is approaching, and this time, all eyes are on Xi Jinping. Once a leader who held absolute power, he now faces growing speculation that authority is slipping from his grasp. Many say only two paths lie before him: to step down with dignity or to be forced from the highest seat of power. The unusual signals from the September 3rd military parade have only fueled such doubts. Hu Jintao's absence seemed like a silent declaration of severed ties. Zhang Youxia handed overall command to an unfamiliar lieutenant general, and Xi himself appeared with a heavy, somber expression. At the same time, strange images are circulating across China: tanks and armored vehicles crowding the streets, mysterious explosions shaking entire cities. Behind all this, is it a struggle for control of the barrel of the gun between Xi Jinping and Zhang Youxia? Or are there deeper calculations at play? So deep that even China's top-secret documents have begun leaking beyond its borders. All these signs point to one thing: the power struggle within the Chinese Communist Party has never cooled down, and it may now be reaching its climax. Which faction holds the upper hand, and what fate awaits Xi Jinping's political career? Let's follow the clues together. 2 unidentified objects shot down, the 80th Group Army showing its might? On the evening of September 12th, residents of Weifang, Shandong Province, witnessed a scene almost too strange to believe. They reported that 2 unidentified objects were shot down, and a flood of videos capturing the moment quickly spread online. In one clip, at around 9:03 p.m., a glowing orb shot upward from the ground in a parabolic arc. As it neared the Earth, it suddenly collided with a white object flying in the opposite direction. A violent explosion erupted, flames blazing across the night sky. Just 5 minutes later, a similar scene unfolded again. The person filming could be heard exclaiming in panic, "Oh my God, it's a missile!" When reporters contacted Weifang's Emergency Management Bureau for confirmation, the reply was baffling: "There is no information." That silence only fueled online speculation, ranging from military tests and missile interceptions to UFOs being shot down. Adding to the mystery, local media coverage carefully avoided mentioning Weifang by name, instead vaguely referring to the incident as happening in Shandong. Commentator Li Daiyu argued that this roundabout reporting style was itself evidence that something unusual was going on. Weifang was once a key base of the Jinan military region and previously home to the 26th Group Army. In 2016, after Xi Jinping's military reforms, the 26th Group Army was restructured into the 80th Group Army, with Weifang remaining its headquarters. Among its units, the 69th Combined Brigade, nicknamed the Fierce Tiger Brigade, is equipped with tanks, armored vehicles, and other heavy gear, specializing in mechanized warfare. The 80th Group Army is a comprehensive force comprising air defense, aviation, and electronic warfare units. Its surface-to-air missile systems are capable of intercepting low and medium-altitude targets, able to counter certain aircraft, helicopters, drones, and low-flying cruise missiles. These combat features align closely with what was seen in the circulating footage. Some internet users also noted that on September 11th, China's Maritime Safety Administration had issued a notice of live-fire drills in the Bohai Sea. The timing and coordinates suspiciously overlapped with Weifang's urban area and nearby coastline. This strengthened the theory that the explosions in the sky were part of missile interception tests, or even field air defense exercises conducted by the 80th Group Army. Li Daiyu pointed out that the 80th Group Army, holding exercises deep within China's inland seas, far from the South China Sea or Taiwan Strait, cannot be seen as saber-rattling toward foreign powers. Instead, he argued, this is an internal show of force within the Chinese military, driven by high-level power struggles. Those in command are using such displays to pressure their rivals. Similar incidents have happened before in China's history. 82nd Group Army on the move, tanks in the streets of Tangshan, Zhang Youxia taking action? Beyond the incident in Weifang, Shandong, netizens also reported that on September 12th, in Shijiazhuang, Hebei Province, a sudden loud explosion occurred at around 10:30 a.m. Some said their homes and windows shook violently, When asked, staff at Xi Jinping's public service hotline said the matter had been reported to higher authorities, but at present, there was no official information about the blast. On the same day, large numbers of tanks and armored vehicles were spotted in the streets of Tangshan, also in Hebei. Tangshan hosts one of the bases of the 82nd Group Army, suggesting that this force was openly demonstrating its strength in a region close to Beijing. According to Li Daiyu, the 80th Group Army in Weifang belongs to the Northern Theater Command, which encircles Beijing and, together with the Central Theater Command, forms a steel wall. Sources say both of these theater commands are under Zhang Youxia's control. Li argued that these military shows of force may be deliberately staged to spread among the public, using unusual troop movements to send a warning to discontented factions inside the system, that they can mobilize and strike at any time with overwhelming force. Exiled U.S.-based political commentator Chen Pokong also remarked on his media channel that Xi Jinping is home to the headquarters of the Central Theater Command, with some 600,000 troops surrounding Beijing. He noted that the Central Theater Command has long been resentful of Xi Jinping. Last year, they were forced into flood relief operations, during which a saying reportedly circulated within the army: "If the waters reach Zhongnanhai, beat Xi Jinping to death." The Central Theater Command has also been plagued by instability. After the third plenary session, Commander Huang Ming was reassigned to the Northern Theater Command, while Wang Qian was transferred to lead the Central Theater Command, seen as Zhang Youxia's lure the tiger from the mountains strategy. Yet after Wang's arrival, he too vanished. With the Central Theater Command lacking a commander, the September 3rd parade ended up being overseen by a lieutenant general as chief commander. Chen Pokong pointed out that government agencies all issued blanket denials, as if following direct orders from above to say nothing. He said, "These unusual signs raise suspicions that the loud explosion in Shijiazhuang may be linked to internal military conflict. It could be part of the struggle within the armed forces between Xi Jinping's camp and that of Zhang Youxia, or the anti-Xi faction." Firewall leak, internal division, and a deliberate disclosure. Following the string of setbacks for Xi Jinping, another shocking incident has emerged. Recently, highly sensitive core documents related to the Chinese Communist Party's Great Firewall, GFW technology, have been leaked on a massive scale. Internal records reveal that the CCP's firewall system is not only used to control its own population, but has also been exported to other countries, helping them build their own online surveillance networks. According to Canada's Globe and Mail, the leaked files came from Hainan-based Gige Networks Ltd. (DGC Yoshengongsi). In total, more than 100,000 internal documents, amounting to about 600 gigabytes of data, were exposed, including roughly 500 gigabytes of source code. Commentator Chen Pokong noted that the CCP's plan to export its cyber control system worldwide is a grand conspiracy. Now that it has been exposed to the world, everyone can see Beijing's ambition to export corruption and suppress free speech abroad. He stressed that this leak was almost certainly deliberate, not accidental. It shows deep divisions within the CCP and the military. This was an intentional disclosure from inside the system, aimed at undermining Xi Jinping's regime from within. Zhang Youxia and Xi Jinping struggling over the barrel of the gun. According to Chinese state media, on September 10th, a ceremony was held in Beijing to award honors to the Shenzhou 18 and Shenzhou 19 astronauts. Notably, Vice Chairman of the Central Military Commission, CMC, Zhang Youxia attended, introduced as representing Chairman Xi Jinping and the CMC, to congratulate the 6 astronauts and extend greetings to the aerospace forces. Senior CMC leaders and representatives of the aerospace force were also present. Reports stated that the ceremony announced commendations from the party Central Committee, the State Council, and the CMC. Zhang presented certificates to the astronauts, and then the event concluded. What stood out, however, was the odd reporting style. State media made no mention of who announced the commendation decision, nor did they publish any of Zhang's remarks, only that he represented Xi Jinping and the CMC in offering congratulations. During Xi Jinping's time in power, there have been 5 such award ceremonies, each presided over by a CMC vice chairman. But the reporting style of the last 2 has been markedly different from the first 3. In 2013 and 2017, Vice Chairman Xu Jinping presided and openly praised Xi Jinping on both occasions. In 2023, Vice Chairman He Weidong took the lead, stressing the importance of carrying out the party and Xi's decisions on building an aerospace power, while highlighting Xi's close attention and guidance. The contrast is clear. Xu Jinping and He Weidong openly elevated Xi's role, emphasizing his importance to aerospace development, but never claimed to be representing him. By contrast, in the last 2 ceremonies with Zhang Youxia, media reports avoided quoting him and simply underlined that he was representing Xi, without giving Xi the usual flattery. What does this shift in reporting signify? Could it mean Xi Jinping no longer needs to appear on the political stage? Or is it a sign that even his position as CMC chairman is under question? Former system insider Kai Xia argues that Xi Jinping's ultimate fate hinges on the relationship between the party and the military. Whether it remains the party commands the gun or turns into the gun subdues the party. This, she says, is the decisive variable for the regime's survival. According to her, since the 20th Party Congress, and especially after 2023, Zhang Youxia and Xi have been locked in a power struggle. The turning point came in July 2023, when the top leadership of the rocket force was purged. Outwardly, it looked like Xi's anti-corruption drive, but for Zhang it was a real threat. Xi had relied on the gun in Zhang's hands to secure his strong re-election at the 20th Congress, but afterward grew anxious about Zhang's growing clout. Fearing that Zhang might claim too much credit and overshadow him, Xi adopted Wang Qishan's strategy of cutting the skirts, beating the tigers, to systematically weaken Zhang. One by one, Zhang's allies and protégés fell, including his protégé, former Defense Minister Li Shangfu. The blade kept drawing closer to Zhang himself, leaving him visibly nervous in the run-up to the third plenum in 2024. But after the third plenum, the situation seemed to flip. Most of those purged were Xi's own people. In Kai Xia's words, before the third plenum, it was still the party commanding the gun, Xi suppressing Zhang. Afterward, however, it looked more like the gun suppressing the party. With the backing of party elders, Zhang Youxia clearly gained the upper hand over Xi Jinping. In this context, the question of who now holds Xi's fate is no longer ambiguous. That is why the fourth plenum in October will be a crucial moment to watch. Trouble ahead at the fourth plenum? Xi wants to hold power, turns to Trump as a lifeline? According to the Wall Street Journal on September 15th, over the past 2 months, Chinese diplomats have been tirelessly lobbying for former President Trump to visit China. The talks in Spain reveal whether Beijing is willing to make concessions on trade and TikTok, or whether it will continue using a carefully calibrated strategy to secure Trump's visit at the lowest possible cost. Sources say U.S. officials are weighing the possibility of arranging a meeting between Trump and Xi Jinping at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation (APEC) summit in South Korea at the end of October. Beijing, however, has floated the idea of hosting a bilateral summit in China instead. If Trump were to visit China, it would hand Xi Jinping a major diplomatic victory. For Chinese leaders from Jiang Zemin to Hu Jintao to Xi himself, recognition from the U.S. government has always served as a powerful endorsement of their authority, something to showcase within the party. As host, Xi would seek to project the image that the American president needs him, polishing his domestic standing. On the international stage, he would signal that China not only stands as an equal to the U.S., but that even the U.S. president would travel to Beijing to learn. Yet, as commentator Chen noted, behind all this lies Xi's crisis of power. Since last year's third plenum, many of Xi's allies have been purged, including senior military figures such as Miao Hua and He Weidong. Several generals handpicked by Xi have vanished. The CMC has been cut in half. Both the Politburo and State Council are understaffed. These setbacks are widely seen as the result of Xi's own strategic missteps. Instability within the military and a downgraded military parade have only deepened Xi's unease. Securing Trump's visit to Beijing would be, in his eyes, like snow in midsummer. A timely and desperately needed relief. Debate now swirls over whether the fourth plenum will favor or undermine Xi. If it proceeds smoothly, at best, Xi might be pushed into the background, retaining real power but relinquishing certain titular posts. If things go worse, he may be forced to give up even more positions or possibly resign altogether. But clearly, resignation is the last thing Xi wants. Ever since amending the constitution to cement himself as leader for life, Xi has staked his entire political fate on this game. What do you think of this power struggle? Leave your comments below, and see you in the next program.